The film begins with a brief explanation of chess as a harsh game, illustrating how people indirectly harm each other. It introduces a man named Abe, a powerful gangster in the East, and Frankie, another ruthless gangster in the West. One morning, Abe's daughter wakes him up, and they reveal a loving family together, revealing their happiness and the harsh nature of chess. When he gets home, Abe gets ready, has breakfast, and makes coffee for himself. He tells his wife that his coffee is extremely good and that everyone would like it. He doesn't exhibit any indicators of being a mob leader. While their daughter asks if she and her mom can spend the night at her grandmother's house, Abe agrees, provided that she remembers to finish her homework right away because his driver is waiting for them. His wife jokingly remarks that it tastes like store-bought instant coffee. While he's gone, his wife finds his bipolar medicine, which he must have unintentionally left behind. Later, while waiting for Benjamin, his private driver, outside, Abe hands Benjamin a cup of coffee that he brewed himself. Benjamin anxiously inquires about the coffee's flavor. Benjamin tells Abe that the coffee is excellent, which makes him pleased. But, just before they depart, Benjamin quips in jest that it's almost as nice as instant coffee. While they are traveling, a police car is seen observing them from a distance. After a while, Abe tells Benjamin to shake off the police, and Benjamin complies. However, when they get stuck at a traffic light, Benjamin quickly takes a different route, which causes the police to lose track of them. Later, Abe informs Benjamin that he has a meeting with Frankie, the gangster boss from the western region, tonight. Abe is displeased with Frankie because he has been causing trouble in Abe's territory in the East. Additionally, Abe makes contact with Richard, a man who typically assists his group in money laundering. However, Richard refuses to answer the phone, despite having recently given Abe money. This frustrates Abe, who plans to take action against Richard. Subsequently, Abe meets with his reliable right-hand person, a man with a white beard, to receive a letter containing information about Richard. Abe instructed his right-hand person to deliver the letter to apartment number 23 at precisely 3:00 p.m. After half an hour, a man by the name of Kane is boxing. Kane has a reputation for being a cruel and unforgiving individual, especially when it comes to dealing with his targets after completing his training. As Kane was about to pay the cashier, he noticed two intimidating guys staring at him. Kane imagined himself taking down those guys, but in reality, he was trying to keep his cool because he had noticed two police officers entering the store. Before C headed home to his apartment, he stopped by a convenience store to buy some drinks. When Kane finally made it to his apartment, a neighbor appeared to be trying to confront C, but since a woman was there, he decided not to confront C. After Kane entered his apartment, he quickly packed his belongings and hurried to the bathroom. Meanwhile, Abe's trusted right-hand man, who had been given the order to deliver the letter right away, went to Kane's apartment and slipped the letter under the door at precisely 3 p.m. However, after taking a shower, Kane picked up the letter and settled down to watch the news. It was reported that a brutal killing had occurred, and Kane was revealed to have been the one who had taken down some gangsters the night before. After reading the letter, which included pictures and information about Richard, Kane realized that he had to get rid of Richard immediately. Let's move on to Richard, who was at that point with his pregnant wife when he received a call from an unknown number, and he suspected it was Abe. He turned down the call, after coming clean and telling his wife not to wait for him to return home because he had a late-night meeting with a client. Richard then decided to take a shower because he had an important meeting with a client coming up. However, while Richard was cooking, his wife unintentionally heard a message notification from his phone. When she checked it, she discovered that Richard had an appointment with another woman, meaning he wouldn't be meeting with a client as he had claimed. Richard was headed to meet a woman, and during their close conversation, she mentioned that she didn't like Richard's wife because she was pregnant. Richard tried to reassure her, telling her that there was no way their relationship would be discovered. Shortly after, it turned out that Richard's wife was secretly following him at the same time Kane was also following Richard's car. Meanwhile, Richard's wife was trying to call her younger sister Kelly, but she was always busy. After several attempts, Kelly finally answered the phone, and Richard's wife told her that her husband was going to meet another woman, and she was very upset because she was pregnant. Upon hearing that, Kelly advised her to be patient and then contacted Richard because it turned out that the woman he was going to meet was his sister at the time. Kelly asked Richard not. At the same time, Kane continued to pursue him, and when they got to a parking lot, Kane suddenly pulled out a revolver and approached Richard, shooting. Kane missed that, but a stray bullet hit Richard's wife, shocking C, so he quickly left the scene on his way. Kane got off his motorcycle and called Abe's wife to find out where Abe's was. Shortly after, the scene shifts back to Abe, who was taken by Benjamin to a hidden bar inside which Abe was going to meet with Frankie, the gangster boss from the West. After a while, Frankie entered the pub with his younger brother. Abe offered his hand to shake Frankie, but he rejected it at the moment. Frankie's younger brother tried to insult Abe using Greek so that Abe wouldn't understand, But it turns out Abe actually understood what he was saying shortly after they all took their seats, and Abe immediately asked Frankie why he kept coming and causing trouble in the eastern region, which belonged to Abe. Frankie didn't want an answer and instead suggested they play chess first. In the end, Abe agreed to play chess with Frankie before discussing anything else. As they were about to begin the game, Frankie asked what they should bet on. Since Abe did not respond, Frankie suggested that if he won, the eastern region would officially become his territory, and if he lost, he would give Abe some money. At first, Frankie believed Abe was kidding, but at that point, Abe was dead serious about the bet. Frankie's statements were essentially threatening his authority. In reaction, Abe eventually stated that the wager for this chess game would be his life, and if one of them lost, they would be killed immediately. Frankie did not want to endanger his life over a chess game, so he and his younger brother tried to leave, but Abby's right-hand guy and one of his crew members blocked their route. Frankie urged Abai not to do anything dumb since he had sent his men to see Abe's family. Frankie said that with one phone call, his guys might destroy Abe's family, but Abe stayed cool and even dared Frankie to contact his men right immediately, feeling challenged. Frankie summoned his men to Abe's house, but when they arrived, they discovered that Abe's family was not present. Instead, they discovered a box, and when they opened it, there was an explosion. It turned out that Abe had planned this since the morning and had hidden a bomb. Whether he liked it or not, Frankie had to play chess with Abe, and if he lost, he would face the consequence of being killed on the spot. At that time, Frankie was disappointed since he didn't anticipate the scenario to turn out like this during the game. Abe suddenly felt concerned because he realized he had left his prescription at home in the morning at the time he should have taken it. After forgetting to take his pills, Abe began to lose control of himself, eventually losing the chess game to Frankie, who then began to intimidate Abe because he had won in his agitated state. Abe killed Frankie's younger brother right in front of Frankie, after which Abe began to speak incoherently and cursed at everyone around. He then asked his right-hand guy how many people they had murdered, but he couldn't provide the appropriate response since there were too many in his out-of-control state. Abe unexpectedly assassinated his right-hand person and the others there at the moment. Benjamin knew that Abe had lost control since he hadn't taken his medicine at the same time. C came and promptly fired his revolver at Frankie without hesitation. He shot and killed Frankie. Kane invites Benjamin to a drink, claiming the people there deserve their fate. He offers a gun to Benjamin, but he refuses and threatens to shoot him on the count of 3. It becomes clear that Kane is Abe, who has a dual personality. Abe can't control Kane anymore, and Benjamin is forced to shoot him. The film ends with a moral lesson. Don't forget to take your medicine, or you'll end up crazy like Abe.